Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez podcast on the Lions of Liberty Podcast Network. I am your host, Lou Perez, and today I am joined by Jason Noto. He's a writer, director, and he was featured as one of the top 25 screenwriters for Movie Maker magazine. So, Jason, good morning. Where are you? Where are you
Good
this
morning.
morning? I'm in New Jersey. So, how far away are
You're in
you
New
from me?
Jersey. I'm actually currently in Wilmington, North Carolina.
All right.
Yeah.
How'd you make your way there?
So I have my family. I mean, I'm originally from Baltimore, but my family moved down here. My immediate family moved down here about 25 years ago. So I have been visiting periodically. Um, I had a bit of a stint down here in 2006. I produced a movie with Elizabeth Moss, so I do have a little bit of history down here, and I'm working on a couple projects, to bring down here, but primarily family, visiting family. But
Nice.
my base is Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay. Nice. I was in Brooklyn, for quite a long time. I was in Brooklyn Heights. I was living in for how long was I there? Like 10 years, a decade or something like that.
I love
Uh,
Brooklyn Heights, man.
oh, it's great. I mean, talking about, as a filmmaker, I mean, some of those streets, Willow Street in particular is
Mhm.
just, yeah, it's great. And we were there. I mean, we left like kind of a year into COVID, but right before then, um, it became a real bitch to have a car because they kept filming so much shit in our
Yeah.
neighborhood, and it was just like this one thing happened. It was pretty scary feeling. Parked the car, went home, slept, came back to get the car. Car wasn't there. So I'm like, who the fuck stole what were we driving then? Like some form of Honda. It's like, who the hell would steal our Honda? Uh, and then we looked around and we saw like, oh, all the signs that they were shooting, they were filming something there, and we checked in. They're like, oh, it was probably moved. So the idea, like, someone came with a tow truck, took our car, and then moved it to another parking spot, like blocks and blocks away. I was like, I didn't know they could do that. I'm like, that seems pretty excessive, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at least usually those guys just move them. Usually they don't impound them. So it's
Right.
just that trick, that Where's Waldo finding your actual car.
Yeah, 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 and it was, obviously, thank God it wasn't stolen. So you worked on a project with, Elizabeth Moss, so a lot of people obviously know her from The Handmaid's Tale, will know her from Mad
Sure.
Men, unless it's a different Elizabeth Moss, it's
No,
just
no,
the
same
same.
Elizabeth Moss. Yeah, Lizzie Moss. That was a number of years ago now. So that was quite a long time ago. But a close friend of mine, buddy, roommate, Eric Weigel, had wrote and directed a project, and at that time, that was right before. It was a couple years before *Handmaid's Tale*, I think. I had my timing right, but um, she hadn't. I mean, she was certainly working, but she hadn't, broken through that stratosphere the way she did once she hit *Handmaid's
Mhm.
Tale*. Actually, wait, it wasn't *Handmaid's Tale*, it was right before, oh, geez. What's the show that really kicked her off?
Mad Men.
Mad Men. It was
Yeah.
right before Mad Men.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So, that really propelled her, obviously, into, to a cosmic level.
I feel like it's so fun to have, like, friends who you do projects with, like little small projects, and then they
Mhm.
blow up, and there's a part of me where it's like, uh, one, it's like, is it possible that this small project is the reason why they blew up? And then also, like, wait, is it possible that if that's not the case, if anyone knows about this small project, can it hurt their career? You know? So, like,
No, I mean, I've experienced this so many times firsthand, man. Like, I put Timothée Chalamet in his first short film.
oh,
Um,
wow.
so I was, it's crazy to have, obviously, I don't know. This is like somebody reached out last year from Vulture magazine, or a journalist who was doing a piece on Timothy's work, and it's just wild to be like, you know, yeah, I it's it doesn't seem odd to me because basically knew him as a kid, and then I would always see him bouncing around on projects, and then we were talking about a project and, like, right before he did, Call Me by My Name. So, knowing him as Timmy and then realizing like, "Oh, right, this kid is now, like, one of the biggest stars on the planet," is, I mean, it's tremendous. I'm not surprised, right? Because he was lightning in a bottle, but still, you're like I mean, it's like anything. If you grew up with not necessarily grew up with him, but if you knew somebody for a long time and then all of a sudden they become like their name becomes more than just their name, right?
Right.
That now you're like, "Oh, right. They're still a human being and a normal person, but obviously, yeah, they've reached this, level in, for recognition in society." You're like, "Yeah, wow, man. Okay."
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm actually not familiar with I know who he is. I'm not familiar with all of his work. I haven't watched all of his stuff. My wife loved his the stuff, the Dune stuff. I really loved that. I got to
Sure.
see him in Wonka. So the only
Okay.
movie I've ever seen Timothy Chalamet in is Wonka, and, he's great. He's great. He's awesome. So, so to me, like, call me by, what's it? Call me by
Uh-huh.
your name?
I
No,
think yeah, it's Call Me by My Name.
yeah,
Yeah.
no clue. No clue what that is, but he was excellent in Wonka. My kids love the movie too. So,
Yeah, I mean, he was doing, smaller bit parts in movies before that, but Call Me by My Name, I think, is the one where he got nominated.
got it.
So, that's what kinda, like, threw him into the young Leonardo DiCaprio realm of exposure.
Yeah. So so let's see. So with him, it was short film.
It was
Elizabeth
a sh
Moss as well. Elizabeth Moss was a short film as well. What was
Elizabeth
that?
Moss was a feature film in '06 that was called El Camino. That's a coming of age story of a couple of, early 20s traveling across the US to, bury
Mm,
their friends' ashes, essentially. Um, Slightly morbid story, but also very family-oriented, kinda coming of age. It came out, it hit that festival run season when the financial collapse was happening, so that was a
great time. Perfect.
bit of a doozy, but nevertheless, great quality movie that's kinda stood the test of time, um, as a real strong indie, It was
Hmm.
very, very low budget, and there was about 30 of us in a caravan of vehicles, quite literally traveling across the country, to shoot the project, so, um, yeah,
There, there,
good
there
little
is some.
project.
There is something I would recommend if anyone is, trying to put together like a project and they don't know um, how to like construct the narrative. Having
Mhm.
something like a road trip movie where there's a start point and an end point, so you know
Yeah.
where it's going. That is like such a helpful, and then you can go crazy. You can go nuts, obviously with all complications and stuff like that. But there's something really romantic, especially about like, when it comes to cinema and American movies, about like
Mhm.
the road trip movie. And then you guys having the extra layer of like sort of meta romance of being a part of a road trip while you're shooting a road trip movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our best efforts to make the best movie we could, but also, you know, obviously plenty of struggles on the road, but throughout that process, some of my fondest memories are, like, when we weren't shooting, the things that took place, um, just in a tribal sense, collectively kinda being in this group on the
Cool.
road. You get through hardships, and then the end of the day comes, and you're still all together, kinda ganged up, so, um, yeah, I totally agree with you. Really easy auto press button where you're like, "Here's our premise," and that will let it in itself will play out in a tremendous way, so we could focus on the actual kinda context of the material.
Yeah. Well, what was the movie with Werner Herzog? Was it Fitzcarraldo? Were they? Oh no, not Fitzcarraldo. Where they're
No.
trying to move
Um,
a boat. into the
Oh,
Amazon.
I remember this. Oh, I'm not gonna get the name.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, in a way, like, it's almost, it's not important, the name of it. I've never seen the movie, but I remember watching, the documentary My Best Fiend, which is a
mm,
movie about, Werner Herzog and, his, uh, his best fiend, a German actor, Klaus von whatever. Uh, Klaus von whatever. Guys, you could tell that I'm such a dynamo when it comes to cinema and history. Um, but yeah, like the point of this movie was they're trying to bring a ship like into like the Amazon or like cross the jungle, and they have to literally do it in order to make this movie. So it's like they
mhm.
invented this fictional narrative, and then to make the fictional narrative happen, they need to literally move a fucking boat, you know? Love to
Yeah, I
see
mean,
it.
like, you create that environment that you're creating in itself can, unleash a tremendous amount of drama. So,
Yeah. I'm actually gonna look up my best fiend. Yeah, my best fiend. Yeah, there we go. Klaus Kinski.
okay,
How did I not know that? Come
the
on.
old Kinski.
The old Kinks deer. Um, so, one of the, uh so I'm on Substack, and
Sure.
one of the things I like about Substack is it puts new writers and stuff in front of me who I've never heard
Mhm.
of, and it's like it's a nicer algorithm. I feel like the Substack. It's not just feeding me things that are going to make me angry. Like X, it's going to make me angry. Instagram's feeding me things to jerk off to and buy. Right, so it's either like hot chicks with just butts, or just like buy this product. Um, so but like Substack, it's like, oh, it's putting people in front of me that I actually like, oh, they have some interesting stuff to say. So I came across you because the algorithm found me. And one of the things that you were writing about was kind of bringing back the theatrical releases or movies, getting
Mm.
people out to go to some movie theaters again. Uh and it was something like when I started reading, I was like, oh man, I'd love to get Jason on to talk
Mm.
about that. So um yeah, what's it with movie theaters, man, that you like so much? And why is it that you think more people should experience them?
Oh, man, I don't know how long we got here.
Yeah.
I could really ramble here. I don't know how far back you wanna go, but obviously I'm a filmmaker, I'm an artist at heart, I've always been a storyteller. It's honestly the only way I got through school because I wasn't very good at school, and the teachers would always let me do extra credit, and the extra credit was, like, writing stories. So I would always kill it in that respect. I never connected the 2, at least until my, I don't know, late teens, um, that I realized that, I was using storytelling as a tool to understand myself and others. Um, I grew up, I mean, definitely crushing movies. Like, I always loved to watch movies. But also, like I think I said earlier, I'm from Baltimore, and there is a drive-in theater on the outskirts of Baltimore, um, called Benji's Drive-In. And it's one of these places that, it's just kinda stuck in time, right? Like, it's stuck in 1982, and I mean, everything, like, where the concession stand is that's inside is, like, still to this day, is just straight old school Steven Spielberg, like, 1982 style. They sell, like, egg rolls and, like, pretzel bites, and it's just so distinct, and there's something naturally, I'm sure, well, not for everyone, but for a lot of kids, that kind of nostalgic feeling of, like, when everything is great, at least to a degree. So
Mhm.
for me as a kid, when things weren't great, um, I always had movies, and that was kinda my, I don't know, kinda became I guess I was talking about it the other day, it's essentially become like, ritualistic for me. Um, so, naturally growing up, going to the movies was really special for me, and it created quite a framework for my understanding of the world. And yeah, that's never ended. It's just, I think for me being a filmmaker, it's kind of becoming a filmmaker during a time when going to the movies was still popular, and then being present, uh, and observing kind of the birth of streaming services, um, not only from a fan, but also as a filmmaker, having, the last feature I made was in 2017, 2018, it came out 2019, and being directly involved in efforting for distribution and, you know, uh, working towards getting four-walled, theatrically released, but then also battling or dealing with the challenges of just going straight to streaming services and getting a wider audience, and coming to quite a realization that, yes, streaming services can be fantastic, but obviously they are taking away from people going to the movie theater, and yes, your film is available on streaming services, but it's an ocean, right? And you immediately fall off. Something I witnessed when my film, thankfully, gratefully, went on a number of streaming services. I was thinking, okay, it would really reach a wider audience. After we did like a very short stint in theaters in a couple cities,
What's
um,
the, title? What's the title of your movie?
Beyond the Night.
Beyond the Night.
Yep. And what I realized very quickly was, like, I got into this rat race of saying, "Okay, well, my film's on this," let's say, for example, like, on Amazon, it's on Amazon, and I'm like, "Okay, well, it came out 2 days," it ca at the time, I'm like, "Okay, it came out 2 days ago, it's not on the main page." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well, why did I think it was gonna be on the main page?" I'm like, "Because it just came out." Right, but only so many movies can be on the main page. And then, all right, well, now you're typing the name of the movie in the search bar, and some movies you type in 2 letters and it'll come up. My movie, you had to type in Beyond the NIG, and it's like,
For it to come up. Wow.
then it would come up. I'm like, "There's no way there's that many movies titled, like, Beyond the something."
Right.
I'm like, so it just quickly realizing, like, "Oh, right, you get thrown in the ocean of streaming services, and pretty quickly, it'll just it's like you have a sinker attached to your project, and it'll just go down and down and down, and people can find it, but it just gets lost in the libraries of films. Um, I say all that because over the past couple years, it's become so much more apparent to me and all filmmakers friends I know and engage with that are like, "Right, it's a double-edged sword there, that everyone chased after the streaming platform for what they call the eyeballs, but, um, that's not always true, and more so than ever, I think the result of it is that a lot of good indie films have gotten buried, and it's become normal,
Mhm.
and people are kind of mid-tier in the theaters, meaning, like, you know, only about half the people go to theaters anymore.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
there's something with, just like, so I most of the stuff that I produce is short content. So it's like short comedy. Um, I think like recently, probably like the longest one I have is like an 8 minutes, 8 minute thing. And even as someone making this stuff, there's kind of this feeling, like, say I release it on Monday
Mhm.
and we put, the equivalent, maybe, say like a couple months into it, it's kind of done the next Monday. And it's like, no, it's not done. Like, this
Yeah.
is a piece that you worked on for a long, for even a short piece for a long time. It's like it needs constant promotion and to get people to see it. And also, that, just like you said, the reality is the amount of people who are actually going to be able to see this or know that it exists is, kind of so small, and then they make it that way, with the
Mhm.
streaming services. For you to work on a film for 3 years and to kind of
Mhm.
put it out there, and then, like you said, it just kind of sinks, have the
Oh,
sinker on it.
there it
It,
is.
I mean, what a God, what a painful
It's
thing.
it is extremely painful, and so many, I mean, so many different topics here, but
Yeah.
one of the topics Now, there's a lot of topics that have always interested me, particularly to film, because I've dedicated my life to it, because I've been in the ups and downs of it. I'm always fascinated by the aspects that aren't talked about. I'm like, well, why aren't they ever talked about? Like the trauma of making your first movie and it not necessarily going nowhere, but not necessarily exploding into this huge success. Is like there is a tremendous amount of trauma behind that, where you're like, you're essentially birthing something, right?
Right.
And people acknowledge it for, like, a day, and then they're like, "Oh, that's okay, moving on." You're like, "Wait, no, this is." And it's not about necessarily being celebrated for just an indefinite amount of time, but I think that the amount of space that's being held for content, obviously, it varies in quality, but the amount of space being held for someone's efforts or time, the amount of presence that is being given to a given art form is, as we all know, has become so brief. It's become so
Yeah.
short that you're like, oh man, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's when you
Mm.
start, those cracks start coming in. You're like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And what are you doing it for? Which is a
Mhm.
whole nother thing. Once your film comes out, you work your ass to get it done. It does, let's say, even mediocrely okay. Is that okay? Are you okay? Is that like, are you gonna be fine with that? Or
Right.
is your life over now? Do you wanna make another one? Or are you done? Are you gonna go sell insurance? It's like, you come to a lot of realizations when these kinds of, with each lesson, each new experience.
Mhm. Yeah, and I would take it too, if you think, you had a feature film with Elizabeth Moss in it, the short with Timothy Chalamet, I think one of the hopes would be, and this isn't a selfish thing, but you'd be like, "Oh, these actors I worked with are doing so well, maybe that would mean their fans will go and discover this work."
Sure.
But I think even with that, oftentimes, like, I think maybe some people might just view Elizabeth Moss as Mad Men or,
Mhm.
The Handmaid's Tale, that they don't even think like, "Oh, let me go watch her in this completely other role," from almost 20 years ago to, kind of like see what else she could do. I feel like
Yeah.
also people kinda get in these boxes where it's like, yeah, it's probably like the equivalent of, like, if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in a drama, and I think he's coming up in a drama, like an MMA, in an
Mhm.
MMA movie, but if he's, like, just in, like, a straight comedy, some people be like, "No, I wanna watch him beat people up." Like, I don't wanna see The Rock in, slipping on banana peels, you know?
Yeah, people's pockets of what they're interested in is already challenging enough to get them in the seats, but now you're kind of challenging their safe zone, right, of what they're looking for. So now you're almost asking more of them.
Yeah.
You're like, and that asking more of anyone seemingly in our current society, you're like, okay, everyone's pretty full. Everyone's bag is full.
Yeah.
You're like, how about just a little bit more? Can we just add a little bit more?
Yeah. It's, it's funny, on X, there's, like, these accounts that are, I mean, they're kinda just just clickbaity. It's like, "Here's a picture of Robert De Niro," and it's like, "What's your favorite Robert De Niro performance?" And it's like, "Alright, you're gonna get me, alright? Okay." But I've seen a number of these ones where where they're like, "All these movies came out in 2007. Which was your favorite?" And there's, like,
Mhm.
12 movies there. And the other day I saw this one and it was, for 2007, and I counted the movies that I'd seen, and there was like 7 out of the 12 I'd seen, and I'd seen all of them in a movie theater,
Mm.
and it was like a reminder like, "Oh, wait a minute. I saw 7 movies in a movie theater." That's it's like, for 7 months, say, like I was in the movie theater at some point watching movies, and I'm like, I don't remember the last time that was the case for me. And look at all these amazing movies. Um, so it feels like it's kind of like a different world, definitely when it comes to like the creative arts, right?
Sure. I mean, look, it was already it was almost like the like gig lifestyle, freelance lifestyle was kind of this seemingly not necessarily that respected, non-conventional kind of lifestyle, um, that I had always lived, which was like my normal life. But then obviously everyone around me, my friends, family, other people, you know, 2/3 of them live what would be considered a more conventional lifestyle, relying on a larger employer to pay their bills,
Mhm.
9 to 5, the whole thing. Um, and then seemingly during COVID, right, you simultaneously are not only kind of stuck at home and everything's being reevaluated essentially from a personal perspective, and the gig life almost became mainstream, right? Like it was like,
Mhm.
oh wait, almost by force. You're like, okay, well, anyone who potentially maybe had like looked down upon gig life, now you now are at home and you're essentially doing what all of us uh, have been doing for years. You're like, oh, I can work from home. I can work from wherever I am. So then you have this whole kinda like stay at home life,
Mhm.
and I think we were already leaning in that direction with the streaming services prior to COVID, but then during COVID, it's like almost like the neural pathways got adjusted for majority of society where they're like, "No, we don't need to go out that much, and we shouldn't for all these reasons that, people have come up with." So I was talking to somebody the other day because, to your point, based off of the prompt that I had put up on Substack, I've had tremendous amount of conversations across the board, which has been incredible and really beautiful and very heartwarming. Um, but this idea that like, you know, it's almost like now we're at a place, seemingly all these years later, because COVID wasn't just yesterday; it's been some time now. Just now, there's some sense of like the IRL life being real like, recurated. Like, people now seemingly want to go, "Oh, we should go out and do something together. We should go out someplace where there are other people." And it seems like that was a really slow engine to get restarted, but in a very optimistic way, it feels like that's the case, man. It really feels like there's a new spark to some degree, in the zeitgeist that I think that I have a knack for picking up on, that not only for myself, but what I was witnessing out and about, but for myself when I was writing something about it, I started to draft some things up, and when I started to post some stuff, the response was so sharp, so strong. I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm not alone here." So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe, like, one of the things that I'm sort of down about is just hearing about Gen Z and the issues that they're having with, like, you know, not dating, not having
mhm,
sex, and I feel like, if there's something that's gonna get you out to a movie theater, it's part of it is probably gonna be a date, and part of it's going to be sex, trying to get laid,
yeah.
So in a way, it's sort of like, I hope they can get their shit together and start dating and having sex and getting out to movie theaters, But although I guess now, I mean, the way things are, it's just sort of like, you know, hit a dating app and, you keep swiping, left or right. And then when you swipe right, they just come to you. So in a way, like dating has kind of become a gig, kind of a gig economy too. Yeah.
It's true. Look, I think that there was a massive overcorrection to some degree, and, like, that stuff, I think currently, no matter what, we are still, um, organic beings, right? We're not crossover yet. We're not we're not filled with any kind of robotic parts yet, but, because of that, I feel like no matter how much time you are on your phone or you're online or, you're kinda by yourself, I feel like just from a DNA perspective, man, we have it in us where at some point, like, and it could be when you're down in the spiraling out and don't wanna be here anymore. But at some point, people start to go, "Oh," engaging in conversation with other people is really nice, and going out and being around other people is actually really nice. Um, so I think that that's I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. It feels like the people that I engage with who are Gen Z, um, are I don't know, maybe they're just getting a little older. They're starting to get, like, some
Right.
realizations, but, it feels like they're, I don't say coming around, but almost like a rebirth of sorts of, um, you know, live action interaction is good.
Mhm. Yesterday, I took my kids to, the AMC, local AMC. They were doing a 30-year anniversary of Toy Story. So Toy Story
Yeah,
came out 30 years ago.
it's
30
intense.
years ago. That's dude, it's so intense. Um, I was born in 1980 I was born in 1982, so 30 years before that
Right.
is 1952. So the idea that of, like, I don't know what movie from '52 would have a 30-year, reshowing in theaters, but, um, my kids were really blown away by, how comfortable the seats were, which,
Mhm,
very a lot more uh, they're, not as they were more comfortable than, I guess, the ones in our local small theater, but then more than anything, the size of the screen. I mean, it was just an immense screen, and they were like, "Oh, Dad, I really like this theater." Um, they didn't make it through the whole movie because it's also a movie that we've seen. God, me probably like 100 times. So it was right at the part where Buzz Lightyear discovers that he is in fact a toy. That's when we left. Which, if I was, writing a story, I'm sure that would be symbolic in some way.
mhm,
Um, so you have like these, they were playing all these new movies, and then they had all these screens devoted to, older films, whether they were hitting like a 25-year mark, a 30-year mark, um, and I don't know. I don't remember if that was the norm, like, say, back in 2007 when I saw all those movies in theaters, if there was, you know, they were constantly bringing back older stuff for people to check out again, or if that's a new thing we're trying to get people back into the theater by showing them something that, "Hey, you've been consuming this for the past 20 years on the small screen. Come watch it
mhm.
on the big screen." You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that theaters in general, like AMC or Regal or any of these big box are, for a number of years now, right? Like, they never used to do commercials in the movie theaters. Now you have,
Oh, yeah.
like, TV commercials, and you're like, "What w w" Once they open that can of worms, from a sponsorship standpoint, they're like, "Yeah, they can't not do it now." I'm like,
Yeah.
and I get it, and I get it, I mean, this is a larger conversation surrounding, like, big box versus mom and pop, but certain things come with big bucks, right? What by to a fault. It's like they have to, because their numbers are so large, they have to cover. It's like, right, you're gonna get some of these bigger things, and are you either gonna forgive it for being there or not, right? I'm not a like against big box theaters. I'm not someone who is like, oh no, everything should be independent and there shouldn't be any. I I don't discriminate against any of the theaters. I love them. I love big movies. I love small movies. I just think that, whatever the game plan has become, whatever over the past couple years, it's like it's so impractical.
Mhm.
It's become such an impractical thing where, depending on what state you're in, what city you're in, you know, a couple and so let's say they have 2 kids, go to the theater, you're spending $100, and you're like, "You spent
Yeah.
$100 to go see a movie for your
Yeah.
family?" Like, someone somewhere, whoever that is, there should be like a, "No, that's not gonna happen," kind of a thing, like Wrigley Field with the hot dogs. It's like,
Mhm.
"No, hot dogs are a dollar." It's like, that's what stays. There's something about there's some aspect of the fabric of our society that almost should be untouched because I think it serves a bigger purpose. Like, if movies were maxed out at, let's say, $10 or even $8 for a ticket, and that was like a law, like an actual law, I feel like I just feel like we would be better off as a society, right? Our nature as a species we learn from storytelling. I mean, it's like coded in our DNA. So real passionate storytelling impacts us in a way that I don't think we understand fully or appreciate fully.
Mhm.
And where we've shifted to, I don't feel like, or let me say it this way, I do believe there's a correlation between the size and scope of the content that has been put out over the past 10 years and the lack of substance or the deterioration of substance, at least from a personal perspective, I feel like we have in our society as people. So I believe there's a direct correlation. Um, so I think that if we're able to, which seems to be happening, or I don't know, it's a trend, with the amount of spec scripts that are being bought up right now, and the steering away from big box movies and towards what would be considered more indie content, it seems to be happening. I do believe that that will have a direct effect on our society. Like, I think that what we watch as a society affects our day to day interactions as a human being. So that was a bit of a rant.
No, 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 no. I appreciate that. And talking about commercials that ran, so uh, before you even get to the trailers for the new movies that are coming out,
Yeah.
um, uh, we were inundated by so many commercials. It was like watching, like me being at home at my parents watching, the like a cable news.
Hmm.
Every single commercial was about mental health. It was
Yes.
about like, I don't know if there were like outright drug commercials, but everything was about mental health to the point where I was like, I don't feel good being here in this seat right now at a movie
Yeah.
theater about to watch Toy Story because I'm just being bombarded by like wellness checks and all this shit. The ones that stuck out was like it was like mental health, wellness, and then like like a I don't know if it was Sensodyne or a kind of toothpaste, but it was like over and over these fucking things. And like I have a habit of showing up early to things, and it's like, oh man, I guess I can't show up a half hour before before the movie starts now because I'm there with my kids, and it's like feeling like, oh, am I sad? Am I depressed?
Yeah,
And
man.
it's like it's fucking crazy. Yeah.
I went and saw Highest to Lowest last week or a week before last, and then this past week I saw The Long Walk. And I mean, the theater that I was seeing these at was pharmaceuticals and, all the side effects and like anal itch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what can we just, is there anything else we can do here?
Yeah.
Can we just, can we get back the dancing popcorn box? Can we do that? Can we switch gears? Is there a safe space where
Right.
we can, which, origin of the theater, where we can, to a degree, escape and at best case, also learn something? Um, is there a safe place where we can take kids, where we can go as groups that doesn't remind us for an hour or 2 of the severity of our existence?
Yeah, yeah. No, totally, and it was like, yeah, and it was almost like, I was looking around, everybody there, we were all, parents with our kids, and I was like, I don't think these commercials are hitting the right people. I don't think they're
Yeah.
it's like there's no one here alone, on a, what was it, a Saturday or a Sunday, uh having a difficult time here. I devoured a whole bag of popcorn by myself. That was my, SSRI inhibitor or whatever the hell. So
Yeah, it's really it's yeah, man, I hear you. Like,
yeah.
I'm with you there on this.
Yeah, with the when it comes to like the indie stuff, I always wonder like, like nowadays, what constitutes an indie? Because
Yes.
because tech right? Because like just speaking like from like the tech like a technological standpoint, I mean, you know, people can film shit on their phone that looks incredible, or looks incredible, looks professional. so, like, technology has made it so that really, the it's wide open with the amount of people who could, potentially make an hour and 20-minute, hour and a half long film or anything. So yeah, like what is an indie nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I to that point, it's funny because that's come up for me a lot. But relatively recently in past couple of years, just because of the nature of being directly inside the business and dealing with budgets and these kinds of things. I'm like, man, it's like like associate it with vintage. Like, well, people are like, oh, that's a vintage cabinet. You're like, that's not what. What are
Mhm,
you talking about, man? Somebody's like, oh, that's a low budget movie. You're like, no, $10 million is not low budget for a movie. I mean, it is if you're making shoot 'em up, blow up action movie. But in the whole scheme of things, I think it started with at least in my recollection, and I could definitely be wrong, but, Little Miss Sunshine, I was like that
mm,
when that popped off at Sundance, and I think it was I could totally be wrong, but it's somewhere in the higher millions as far as budgets go, and it was just being shopped or marketed as this, like, little indie darling, and I'm like, "That is not an indie darling by any stretch." So, I don't know, what whatever my opinion matters, it's for me, being being a filmmaker and working on pretty small movies for the past 17, 18 years, I would say anything $1 million or less would, for me, qualify as an indie film, meaning that there's not some large conglomerate behind you that's kinda got your back, right? There's not a big pillow that's sitting there in case you fall will catch you at $1 million mark. And I say that because at $1 million mark, if you're making a feature film, um, that money goes really quick. It's not like
mm,
if you get $1 million and you're doing a movie in the woods where one person's running around, the money can go further. But by and large, on a what would be considered a more standard film, meaning like your cast is a minimum of 5 people, you have a minimum of 10 to 15 locations, that would require at least a crew between 8 and, let's say, 30 people. Um, that money is just the literal, division of the money. It goes really fast. So, you can very easily use that up and be broke. You got a
yeah,
movie, but you have nothing's left. That to me is what would be considered indie as far as I'm concerned, which to that point is some of the material I was writing about on Substack is like, "Hey, this could be a really good focal point where you're like taking back that essentially in some way the independent community of filmmaking, which is it's quite substantial. It's got quite a substantial presence, even though you may not see it because of some of the stuff we discussed. But it does have a strong community, and I'm like, if almost in a way like it was taken, like what determines what an indie is, almost was taken from the indie community by the
mm,
studios being like, "Oh, we'll take that and we'll stick it on our movie that we dropped 10 million on." They're like,
10
"It's an
million,
indie
yeah,
darling." You're like, "No, no, no. No, you're not part of this group." So, like, if we could somehow take back where we're like, "Okay," almost like dogma rules. It doesn't have to be dogma, but the point is, like, dogma is a set of rules, and you're like, "Okay, if you abide by those rules, you are considered a dogma project." Where in independent cinema, I'm like, if somebody could just cap it at like $1 million or even $2 million and say, anything 2 million and under, that's an independent movie.
yeah,
Anything above that, you're getting into, you know, anything above 2 or $3 million, there's a high probability you're paying your cast each a minimum of like a quarter of $1 million. You're like if you're paying an actor a quarter of $1 million, you're really stretching the line of what independent cinema means.
totally, totally. Yeah, and I'm God, the stuff that I make, I'm used to making it, like, just pinching every single penny, so just even the idea of having, what, $1 million? Like,
Right.
the amount of times that I've seen people who've made, like, short films and stuff, and they've gotten, like, grants to do it, and I see what they made, and I'm like, "Wait, what? How much did you make this for?" Made it for like, I think I shot there was, like, one movie, it was a short, like a 5-minute, short, you know, maybe I think maybe it was, like, 10 grand, and, like, overall. And then I saw something that some other person had made with it for at least 80 grand, 80K. And I'm like, "Man, I could be walking around with 70 grand in my pocket." Based comparing, what was done. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
the way people stretch money, man, I have been on sets big and small, and it's incredible what you can witness and just yeah, some people can take $5 and make it feel like 100, and some people can take $5 and make it feel like $1.25. It's like, you're
yeah,
like, I don't know why. I don't know if it's their background, if it's their level of experience just from a ground up, do it yourself kind of a sensibility. Whatever it is, man, it's really interesting to, uh, not only witness, but experience firsthand, like, "Oh, right, uh, money's different. A dollar's different to everyone,"
yeah, yeah, totally.
you know?
Yeah, what I would recommend, so I recommended this, like, years and years ago, and people were asking, like, how to start, starting out and stuff. The one thing I said was, "You have to pay everybody." That's something you do,
Mhm,
and that it could be even just a nominal thing, but
mhm.
people will wanna work with you if you can pay them. Even if it's like, "Look, uh, here's $100 for the day. That's all. I'm so sorry that's what I have." People will appreciate that, and if you feed people well, I think that goes a long way too. Like, if they come and there's, like, a nice spread, like, "Holy shit, like, this is, like, a really I got breakfast and lunch and dinner, and
Yeah,
it's good
man.
food and stuff." Like, it goes a long way. I mean, the amount of times, like, "Oh, pizza again? Great." And it's not even, like, good pizza, it's like I don't know how pizza is where you are, in the Carolinas, but, sometimes it's like, "Dude, like, I'm trying not to eat cheese anymore. I wanna," uh
Yeah, man, those little things go a really long way, and that's again, like I was speaking about earlier, it's sometimes that's not too often look, I didn't grow up with a mentor, and I really, like, fought my way up, just with just refusal to stop, and I really searched out, even to this day, I mean, that's the things that I'm most interested in, and also the things I'm most interested in offering to others. If I have that knowledge, I'm like, "Yeah, man," it's like feeding your crew, giving nominal fees, giving nominal about a bit of money, like, creating some structure of importance, of value to the project. I don't care if the project is, uh, a $500 project, whatever it is, it's like creating that structure and making people feel like they're part of something that's professional. I don't know that word, but, like, important, professional. It's like it's invaluable,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just setting that pace is so important, and that never ends. I don't care if I've been on really big budget movies, and when it's run like shit, no one cares about it, you
Mhm.
know? If you're treating your set like shit, that's how your crew is gonna treat it. Like,
Yeah.
no one gives a shit, so why should anybody else?
Yeah.
Like, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I found, oftentimes I'm wearing way too many hats. Like, I'm producing it, I'm budgeting it,
Mm.
I'm, uh, I'm in charge of, like, the script, I'm in front of the camera, I'm, like, ordering food, and, uh, when I'm wearing too many hats, I'm like and if someone were to ask me, like, "Oh, do you enjoy what you're doing?" It's like, or like, "What's your favorite?" "What's your favorite part?" And for a while, it definitely wasn't even, like, performing, and it's like, "What? Why wouldn't that be your favorite part?" It's like, "Well, because in between takes, I'm thinking, like, all this other shit I have to do, and I'm gonna have to I'm gonna be part of the editing process and all that." So, anytime that I've been able to actually work on a project where the division of labor is there and I'm
Mhm.
not having to do everything, it's like, "Oh my god, is this possible? I didn't know this was possible that you're not running around, all, anxious and stuff, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders." Oh,
Yeah, you don't trust it. You're like,
yeah.
everything's a little bit working too well right now. Everything's a little bit too smooth right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah, man, I think that's part of the I don't know, I feel like that's part of the gift, man. I mean, I have worked for long enough to where I have worked with people who, like, got in and then they were like, "Yeah, I can't do this, I'm out." And I witnessed and experienced people who got in and have, plugged in and haven't unplugged. It's like, I feel like you learn a lot about I mean, I've worked in different fields in the past when I was younger to some degree, but I feel like filmmaking is so similar to, like, fighting, like, literal, like, cage fighting. It's like, you get in and you are forced to see what you're made of, you know?
mm,
You're forced to see what you're made of and whether or not you wanna participate. And I think I say that only to correlate with what you're saying. It's like, during those times of struggle on set, it would be so easy to be like, "Fuck it, I'm out. Like, this is
yeah,
it. I'm gone." And some people do, right? And then certain people are like, "No, man, I'm good." Like, yes, this is difficult and it's insane, and I'm here for it, right?
yeah.
Like, even though my last project was challenging because I shot with a 7-year-old for 18 days. Our shoot was
Wow,
18 days. We had, 5 makeup days. It was hard, as you would expect. Um, and there were some days that were just like, you know, you wanna stick your head through a wall. And at the end of it, regardless of all the trauma and all the everything else that came with it, there wasn't a doubt in my mind. I mean, I had it very specifically, like, I asked myself, I was very present with it. I was like, "Man, is this it? Is it worth it for me? Like, is it" you create this idea, belief, and experience, which we're, dealing with in our society right now. Create this belief that's like, "Hey, I wanna be a filmmaker," and you call yourself a filmmaker. You do all the stuff, but then once you're actually in it, you're, like, literally making a movie. You're in on a production day, and it's going to shit, and everything's fucked. That's when you're like, "Am I? Is this me? Am I this?" Um, to really help you determine who you are, not only, like, from a career-wise, but as a human being, right? Where you're like, "Okay, I can say whatever I want. I can talk all the shit I want at home on a keyboard, but
yeah,
are you gonna do it out in front of people?" So f It was a really powerful thing, specifically for me from a personal standpoint of being like, getting done with a very challenging shoot and being like, "Man, nah, man, I'm here. I'm in it. This is me."
yeah. And then 10 years from now, that little kid's gonna be the next Timothy Chalamet. I mean,
It's as
based
he's
on your
already
record.
crushing in that. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Dude, you got a
I was,
record there, dude.
it's true. It's pretty wild. Because Edgy is actually doing really good. He's the lead of, the Apple TV show called Invasion.
Okay.
And he's, now, which is scary, but he's like 6 foot tall and he's a grown ass man, young man, and um, great, tremendous actor. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I've had some pretty good castings for kids. I'll have another cat. Oh, I'm in the process of casting a new project right now that I can't say much about, but casting a new project right now. Um, and gonna prep for one for this one is slated for January, February, quarter one of 26, and then there's another one that's slated for late 2026, which will have at least 5 to 8, children in it. So,
Wow. Wow.
it should be fun, man. I can't shake it, man. Can't once you get it in you, you get that feeling. It's exciting.
Well, I mean, that's just, hearing, that you have, you know, those projects lined up. I mean, that must feel great. Just have that must be
Oh,
a some weight off your shoulder because so much in this business is like, man, when the fuck, God, like I'm waiting for a green light on some things, and I'm like, when's it gonna come, man? Because
it's tricky,
it's
man. Look,
October. It's
don't
gonna be October soon. Yeah.
I've been casting this latest project for the past 3 months, and we still don't have our lead. So, it's, you know, I don't know what the right pathway forward is as far as, like mindset is regarding balance, right? Because in one way, it's like your life is waiting for other people.
Mhm.
So you're like, how do I that's been a huge practice of mine. I have a pretty substantial spiritual practice, and that has kept me going because I for so many years there, I'm just staring at the wall, you know? I mean, I have pitched at the highest level. I have had projects that are, like, seconds away from being made, and they just disappear. They just die. I'm like, "This baby was about to come out. What are you talking about?" And it's just dead. I mean, this has happened on repeat for, at least 15 years, at least 3 or 4 projects a year. I mean, I'm it's it's such an interesting journey to defy, uh, rejection
Mhm.
in some way, right? Like, uh so, yeah, having said that, getting a project that's gained support and has gotten to this stage, I I think I'm much more aware of being grateful for the process, which has made things a little bit easier at this point. Because before in this stage of casting, I would kinda be like, "Oh god, like, what are we doing?" Where now I'm like, "We're just kind of in it." Like, I'm
You're
grateful to
like
be
you're
in
like, "Can't these,
I'm grateful to be in the game.
you're like, "Alright, what if instead of, 7 kids, we just made them middle-aged?" It's like, "Will that work? Can we do that? Can we change the casting so that they're all, like, they're all boomers? Can we do that?"
Yeah, it's, the casting process is wild, man. I am fascinated by it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I am very much looking forward to casting this new movie and very, very much looking forward to get into some location scouting and choosing a state to shoot in and good stuff. Really, really good stuff.
It sounds like good stuff. And, Jason Noto, I wanna thank you for joining me, for giving some good stuff. I really hope everybody, who listens to the Lou Perez podcast enjoyed it. And I'm gonna have links to, Jason's Substack as well as his work, and I'm putting Beyond the Night on my to watch list, and I'm gonna type that in, the Beyond the Night in full,
I'm
so make
telling you.
sure that this pops up for me.
I'm telling you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time.